AEW has set up a major twist for its fans coming out of the Forbidden Door pay-per-view event regarding the main event, which was Hangman Page beating MJF. Now, this was the co-main event of the show. They let the Lights Out Steel Cage match headline the show. We'll get to that in a minute. Hangman Page and MJF, well, they are wanted by the law. Someone should call the sheriff because these boys just stole the damn show. These guys went out there and absolutely torched it to the ground. There was consistent storytelling, there was consistent psychology going out and playing out in a major, major way between these two. There was constant near falls. They did near fall after near fall after near fall, kick out after kick out after kick out. Just amazing stuff by these two. There was instances in which you thought MJF was going to win. You thought there was instances where Hangman Page looked like he was going to win, and ultimately Hangman Page did. Before I get to this twist, I just want you to set the scene for a minute, because it was MJF who would knock out the referee on purpose to try to get the advantage. He tried to piss off Hangman Page because of the stipulation, of course. MJF not putting his Casino Gauntlet contract championship match opportunity on the line. He could win the championship via countout. He could win the championship via DQ. But that didn't happen. And MJF, he resorted to using the diamond ring in his attempt to do a clipboard shot and constant things. In fact, he actually did a tombstone on a broken table to try to get Hangman down, but he couldn't. There was a tease of Mark Briscoe getting involved before he was stopped by security, but here's the major twist. Hangman Page beat MJF. He did so with a clipboard shot, which is supposed to be steel, before hitting the Deadeye. AEW has set up a rematch because Hangman Page went over, but the rematch is going to be interesting. When will MJF cash in the Casino Gauntlet Championship opportunity? Will he do so immediately at next month's All Out event in Toronto? Or what I think they're going to do is, because you just had MJF lose, there's really no reason to get him a immediate championship match. If you're MJF, why would you go ahead and try to, after going through a war, why would you try to reclaim the championship and run it back with Hangman Page? Why wouldn't you just take some time off, heal up? Maybe someone else will beat Hangman. And I think that's the way they go. I think they're going to delay this match. They're going to delay MJF Hangman Page 2 going forward. Time will tell. The main event was the Lights Out Steel Cage match, and it was a loaded match. So you had Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, Darby Allin, Tanahashi, and Will Ospreay. They went over the Death Riders and Gabe Kidd. Typical AEW match. There was one of the nastiest spots I've ever seen where Moxley took a fork to the ear of Darby Allin. Just sickening. There was a spot where Gabe Kidd and Darby fell off the top of the cage through a stack of tables, and the babyface went over after the match because this is Will Ospreay's last match as he's supposed to go get neck surgery. They did a injury angle where basically the Death Riders laid out Ospreay with a chair, and it was just brutal. But yeah, that was it. But the main event, I understand why they did it. It's a lights out match. I still think the world title should have went on last, but they call me a traditionalist. So they opened this in a fun way. It was Adam Copeland, it was Christian Cage. They went up against Killswitch and Kip Sabian. This was the very first match that Cope and Cage had teamed together in since 2011. A lot of people thought they should have saved this for the upcoming All Out event because it's in Toronto, obviously those two being from Canada. But AEW felt like they needed to do it at Forbidden Door and instead likely have them challenge for the AEW Tag Team titles in Canada at All Out with FTR. Whether that was right, wrong, I don't know. It's up to them. But at the end of the day, I like the fact that these guys opened because I think later in the show, it would just came across as like a waste of time. This way, it got the fans hot, and they absolutely adored Cope. So, props to everybody here. Pretty decent match. TNT title on the line. Kyle Fletcher getting it done over Hiro Tanahashi. Look, this was a fun match, but no one in their right mind actually thought that Tanahashi was going to beat Kyle Fletcher. Every single time this man gets into the ring, Kyle Fletcher gets better just a little bit more. He is a future World Heavyweight Champion, and especially with the pairing with Don Callis, it's just money TV. I look forward to seeing what this kid can do in the next few years, but he absolutely has this character, this dynamic nailed, just dialed in 100%. He reminds me of like a Randy Orton from '09, where he is just, anytime he's on TV, he is the most hated person in the world. He knows all the little details and he crushes it. I'm not a huge fan of a jumping tombstone being uh, a transitional move and a near fall move, but he's not the Undertaker either. So they booked a fatal four-way match. It was Mercedes Moné defending and retaining the TBS championship against Alex Windsor, who has a ton of upside. Persephone, which is a very interesting name. She looked pretty decent. And then Bozilla, who absolutely stole this match. This was a great match. For fans, including myself, who were not familiar with the latter two, only really knowing obviously Mercedes and knowing Windsor, this was a little bit of a reach going into the match of just trying to drum up some drama and some intrigue because, well, we just didn't know these people. They absolutely went out there and crushed it. This was it was just a fun match. And anytime that you can just go out there and have a fun match on the card, especially with not a lot of name power and star power, it actually makes those stars get over a little bit more. So hats off to these four ladies. They absolutely went out there and crushed it. So they had Zack Sabre Jr. defend the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Nigel McGuinness. I'm sorry. I understand that a lot of people look at Zack Sabre as like the great wrestler, the great technician. I think he's boring. He's just lifeless. I think there's a reason why New Japan's product is as cold as it is, right? He's their top champion. Just no personality whatsoever. Nigel is one of the best to ever do it. They tried, but it wasn't my cup of tea. If you like the match, hey, more power to you. I'm not a fan of Zack Sabre Jr. I just find him just lifeless and just utter boring. So I didn't like this match. It was Nigel putting him over. But yeah, we move on. Title change. AEW Tag Team titles on the line. Hurt Syndicate defending against Brodito, which is Brody King and Bandito and FTR. Fun match. They worked hard. And really the story of the match was this. FTR was put in position to lose this match. They're going to take L's here, and they're going to take L's next month at All Out. There was a group of men. They were hooded, they were in New Japan tracksuits, and it was revealed to be the Gates of Agony, or Agony of Wrestling, whatever you want to call them, and Ricochet. So they came out there, they took out Hurt Syndicate. And this allowed Brody King and Bandito to go over FTR. I like the title change. Obviously, the outside interference taking out Hurt Syndicate protects the Hurt Syndicate going forward. So a major angle went down with Okada defending and retaining the unified title over Swerve Strickland. That was expected because there was reports that Swerve was going to take time off after this show and could end up getting surgery. Here's where things pick up. Fun match, good match, but I don't know. It didn't click all the way. I feel like they were almost holding back. Maybe the knee injury was affecting Swerve regardless after the match. So Okada beats down Swerve, takes a chair to his knee that was trapped between the ring post and the steel steps, and laid him out with a chair. As Swerve was being beaten down, Prince Nana came out with a pipe, tried to run him off. This led to a returning Wardlow who came out and absolutely dismantled Prince Nana. Obviously, Wardlow hugging it out with Don Callis, now part of the Don Callis family. They are aligned, and Swerve is written off of television. This major development, hopefully, this will be the beginning of a Wardlow push. I'm hoping so, but I'm not holding my breath either. AEW Women's World Champion Timeless Toni Storm is still here, still on top, still doing the thing, because her and Athena, one of the biggest matches that AEW could book in its women's division, took place at Forbidden Door. There was outside interference from Billy Starks, who attacked Toni Storm. This led to Mina Shirakawa coming out there and taking out Billy, allowing Toni to lock in the chicken wing, and Athena tapped out. Athena is always someone that is going to be an underdog in most situations, despite her success in ROH, because AEW hasn't presented her as a top star yet in its own women's division, because she's been just gone. And Timeless Toni Storm, she is arguably their biggest star, so there's no real reason to take the championship off of her right now. It was a fun match for what it was. I would like to see more from these two. Maybe they'll run it back at All Out.